Loved ones, what's good with you out there, family?
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, man, we got this show here, man. There's a lot of stuff in this, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's probably about
Yeah,
45, 50 different items.
yeah, for sure. And just to be clear, we like to preference this episode with a disclaimer. The intent is in no way racially motivated. This is not an attack on any group.
And that's
This is
facts.
an interpretation of historical precedents.
And that's it. And that's all. And we is a video I released earlier in the week. And I kind of pissed some people off in a way from my perspective because I'm showing the parallel suffering between the Black American community and the Jewish community. But I'm presenting all this from a historical perspective. And it's important that everybody understand this. You know what I'm saying? What's up with you, see money? I see you in this money. I mean, I see you in this I was about to say mother, but you get what I'm saying. I see you up in this thing, man. Good to see you. And this is not going to be an easy subject, and it's important that everybody, when looking at this subject, you can't look at this particular subject through a moral perspective. You can't look at it through what's right, what's wrong. You can't look at this through a religious perspective. You have to look at this particular subject strictly through the glasses of finance and monetary, period. You have to look at this subject as you're looking at an accounting ledger. There's no other way to see this that you'll understand it without getting into your feelings. This is why I had recommend to so many y'all to get my book. And it wasn't because I was trying to sell you a book. It's because I'm giving you the historical perspective and how this whole Western world was created. And there's a philosophy in this book, a financial philosophy that you have to understand. And I'm going to try to give it to you again as we kick it right here. The video I did and released a couple of days ago, same thing. People start getting off into, the subject of, who's supposed to be that, who's supposed to be this. I don't get into that because that can bring about a whole nother, that we're not even trying to even deal with. But it's what we need to see because what's about to go on is going to be real deep. There's already a lot of turmoil going on now. It's going to get thicker. And for my people, we need to stay out the way because I'm about to show you a line. I'm going to show you a line where you got two groups that are squaring off on each other and they're about to get down. And they would like us on either side. And I feel I know, based on history, what particular side gonna pull us off. And it ain't got nothing to do with us. Because these two sides been fighting for over 1,500 to 2,000 years. Except one particular group been robbing this other group a long time. And it looked like that's about to come to an end. So let me go ahead and show y'all a few of the folks' information that I use. This right here is Sabi Sabs. I pulled a lot of stuff from her reviewer stuff. She got a lot of good stuff on there now, man, especially about what's going on now with the whole Charlie Kirk concept and so on. This is one y'all might not be familiar with. It's called Promethean Updates and Promethean Action. They have a whole lot of very good concepts that y'all probably need to tap in on and check out. Okay. And this is right here is the Phil Scott podcast. I think I'm pulling from his podcast as well as his other bigger show, the African Diaspora Channel. And I'm pulling right here from the Rabbi's channel right here. I think I'm not even gonna put up a Rabbi Goldstein because I don't want to pronounce the gentleman's first name incorrectly. So trust me, this is gonna be kind of long. You may not be able to watch it all in one setting. If you got to tap back in on it later, it's cool. But you can see the title. It says Charlie Kirk, Debt, and the Old Scapegoat Cycle. You know what I'm saying? Are we watching history repeat itself? And that's what we're going to get into. So we're going to go ahead. If you got anything you want to say, Thought, before we get started?
No, we're good to go. You can get into it.
Okay. I'm going to run a couple of videos. We're going to talk some. And before we get deeper into this, I'm going to explain something to y'all. So we're going to go ahead and slide on this first one. This is what we're going to do. I'm kind of starting with my conclusion to kind of show y'all where I'm going. And then as I unpack this thing, y'all be able to see. But I'm going to take it from what happened to Charlie Kirk. And then I'm going to take it to the intentions of how his martyrdom in some people's eyes is going to try to be used. I'm going to also point to the financial aspect of this. And then I'm also going to show you some concepts that may speak to us. And then we're going to go and we're going to play y'all a video of something Charlie Kirk said that I'm sure hardly ain't nobody said or seen. Then I'm going to talk to you for a minute. Then we're going to start moving through it. Okay? So here we go. Here go the first one.
Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed, basically assassinated. Normally, I am chill about everything, but I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And I don't care if it's a transgender that got shot because of their opinion. It's not a left of the aisle or the right of the aisle. This is a freaking human being issue. Media is pitting us against one another. So what Charlie Kirk had a conservative opinion? So what Charlie Kirk had some strong opinions? Why does he deserve to die because he has strong opinions? Don't you have strong opinions? Doesn't everyone have strong opinions? Folks, whether you like Charlie or hate Charlie, this is not okay. We shouldn't fear our life because we want to stand up and state our opinion. Now, again, I'm going to probably get berated. Well, let's just hope there's no psychopaths that don't agree with what I'm saying. I mean, what do you prefer? People to not talk? People just to keep their opinions to themselves? To not have the liberty and the freedom to voice your opinion? And again, Charlie wasn't out there spewing hatred. Charlie wasn't out there spewing poison. He was stating his opinion. It happened to be conservative, and somebody that doesn't like that opinion came along and shot him, assassinated him.
Okay, you've seen that. I'm sure quite a few of y'all heard that already over the last since his death. Now we're going to play a video, and this gentleman's going to tell you what they're going to do with this man's death and how they're going to try to use it. And you should already be starting to see that already. Here we go.
They're going to label him as a martyr for free speech, a victim of left-wing extremism. And they're going to use his death, they're going to use it to demand more surveillance, more censorship, more policing, more militarization of the police against their opponents, more police powers. They're going to use his blood to sanitize his ideology and to legitimize every poisonous thing that he ever said. And some of you are out here cheering about what happened. Why, you're fools. Why, when you celebrate, all you do is elevate and strengthen their narrative. Charlie Kirk was not an outlier. He was a product. He was the logical output of a system that's designed to generate exactly what he was. Like I said, he didn't create the demand. The demand was already there.
Now, I see my man just poured in here. Let me go ahead and give him a shout out like I gave C Money. This is my man Butch. Now, Butch been on my head. Butch been on my head, and he been coming at me, but I appreciate it because we all have to be vetted. You know what I'm saying? With the
Facts.
information that you come with. And so I don't have no problem with the family. Let me give a shout out. I think we got somebody new in here. Meta Moore. Okay. Glad only for watching growth. Okay. I guess I'm confused on that. But what's up to you? Happy to see you. Happy you was able to slide off in here. I'm gonna play a couple more videos and I'm gonna explain to y'all how you have to look at this subject. That's why I'm happy you're on here, Butch, so I can go ahead and explain this to you. And like I said before, okay, well, I think Meta just said something else. Let me just see. Okay, let me see. I heard them refer to Kirk as a modern day. Listen, Butch, you have to take, and let me say this again. This particular subject, you cannot look at this subject with the very former thing that you seen earlier this week, Butch, and this. You can't look at this with emotions. You can't look at this subject on a right versus wrong. You cannot look at this subject ethnic, and you cannot look at this subject religious. You can't do that because you're going to miss the play. Because I'm about to show you something. I'm about to show you something powerful. But you have to at least give me enough trust to get you through this. I'm going to play a couple more videos and then I'm going to explain something to y'all. Just give me a minute and I'm going to explain to you how you have to look at this in order to get it. Okay. So shout out to you again, Meta. Okay, we about to move forward. What was on the second one? I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, second. Okay, third. Now here we go right here. I'm about to show you something financial. Okay.
Right now, America is trying to change the rules in the gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember how much debt they have. $35 trillion. Essentially, these are two alternative segments to the global currency market. Washington's actions in this direction clearly demonstrate one of America's main objectives. They are very eager to solve the problem of declining trust in the dollar. The US, just as it did in the 1930s and 1970s, will solve its financial problems at the expense of the entire world, driving everyone where? Into the cryptocurrency cloud. Over time, when part of the US national debt is placed in stablecoins, the US will devalue that debt. Once again, in simple terms, right now they have a $35 trillion currency debt. They move it into crypto, into the cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch. This is for those who really love dealing with crypto.
Okay. Now y'all see that. Now, I guess started going through some changes over there. Now let me show y'all this. I said this already, I'm gonna say it again. It's imperative that y'all get my book. I'm not trying to sell your book. I'm not trying to get off on you to get your money. That's not the case. There's an ideology in this book. And within this book, I'm giving you a 1,500 to 2,000 year history to where you would understand the last video I did because it's in that book. I'm giving you quotes and I'm giving you everything because in this book is the spiritual currency. It's showing you how this whole system was set up. And that's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. And I'm going to go through it again some more right now. Now, this is what you got to know. When you're looking at this ethically, morally, when you're looking at it religiously and all that, that is the original world that God created. These particular people at the Council of Nicaea, they created another world. And they placed that world on top of God's world. And this world is a world of commerce. And in this world of commerce, the only thing that matters is making money. Okay, so in this original world, righteousness, moral values, love, spirituality was right. And robbing and stealing and all that was wrong. When this other world was created by the Vatican, it made the robber baron, the thief, the robber, and all that made him right, and made everyone else that was correct in God's world wrong. And they made it that way by law. So the robber baron became the businessman. He became the noble, and then he became the corporation. This is what you have to understand. This is a fictitious world that we're talking about that was created by law. So when people get upset about what's going on in Palestine, it's wrong. That was them people's land, da, da, da. All that is true in the first world, in God's world. But in the world of commerce they made, that don't mean nothing. Because the world of commerce that they made a whole bunch of rules that have to be followed in order for you to participate in this world. And it's all explained in this book. And in this particular world, that's what's going on. The last video I did, I explained to y'all that the Jewish community, however you want to define it, has been robbed. They've been robbed for the last 1,500 to 2,000 years. They were extorted and they were forced to pay for this whole particular structure of institution and world that exists today. Because the people that had the bloodline and had the property and all that, they did not have no money. So they had to go and borrow money. Here's right here is the system right here. Look at Constantine. Constantine, between the 3rd to 4th century, here's the cycle. The cycle is, you might have to help me with something. It's so small, thought. I don't even know if you can see it. The cycle is finance, something, crisis, and expulsion and remittance. That happened once between 3rd to 4th century. Then it happened again right here between the 12th to 14th century. Between the 12th to 14th century, that's when you got the Magna Carta and all that stuff. Same process. Financial, crisis, expulsion, and remittance. And the remittance part, the crisis is them extorting them to make them wipe off what we're going through today. Some of the debt, or either wipe off the debt, then they remit them back into society. This is the steps. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat. This is what's going on, folks. And y'all need to save that right there. And so you can see how the system is going. So when you say to yourself, I see the comments, give me a minute. When you say to yourself that what the Israelis is doing over there is wrong, you have to remember the British monarchy gave them that land over there for a homeland. You think they gave it to them for free? The what you call the British monarchy today are the Germanic tribes. Germanic, Germanic tribes. And the king over there now is the king of the Anglos. The French, the Swedish, the Danish, all of them are separate tribes. And based on the Vatican and the deal that was cut with King John in the 11th century, going off into the 12th, that created the Magna Carta, made the King of England the powerful institution that it was. But you got to go back and look at, the Lombardy. Lombardi trophy like football. The main street over in London, in the financial center over there is named Lombardy, because it was the Jewish families from the town of Lombardy that loaned money to Constantine to wage the wars that he waged to create the do the Council of Nicaea and create the Nicene Creed, the Nicene Christianity. Christianity was already there. So I'm talking a lot because I'm trying to show y'all something as we go through this. Hey, baby mama, see you in here. Butch, I know through the information as just a sample of the framework. Okay. All right. Okay, we see more up in here. That's what Mo and Butch be kicking it quite a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and move back through some of this, man. But keep in mind, these are our financial transactions. You have to look at all this as if you're looking at an accountant ledger. You have to look at all this, and as I was saying with the Israel thing, and they got the land from the British, the royalty over there in what's now known as Europe, they borrowed money from these Jews at interest, and they would pay them back interest based on the lands they conquered, because then they enslaved the people and they leveraged the people, actual bodies, and what they had to pay off the debt. But they reached a point where they conquered basically all of Europe and borrowed a bunch of money. They could not repay it. That's what forced them out into the rest of the world to conquer the world, to continue to do what they've been doing, leverage the debt. So they steal and leverage debt, not the Jewish community. The Anglos. So pay attention to that. You about to say something, Thought?
No, go ahead.
And remember, the way you looking at what's going on in Palestine, wrong, it ain't right, it's evil. They stealing them people land, they stealing other people land and all that. That's not the Jew, it's the Anglo. The Jew loaned money for it, yes. But this is what you have to understand. But what they doing over there in Palestine, you can't look at it like that, because that's under the first world. That's under God's world. That does not apply in that second world that they've created that's based on commerce. In that world of commerce, what the Jews are doing over there is collecting a debt. Follow me now. In the first God's world, you're right. But in this new world that's been created by the Catholic Church and these other people, they're collecting a debt. Okay, now let's move on. Let's get off into this other joint right here. And I'm going to move you through these now. Here we go.
Death of their community like that. Even though it's done by the owner, if it don't matter, they're not used to seeing that. We desensitized, we've seen it so much. They're suffering financially in ways they never suffered before, just like we have suffered financially. They're losing jobs like they never lost before, just like we've lost. They're going to be gentrified off their farms, literally, like we've been gentrified out of our homes and neighborhoods. They're literally going to feel everything we felt. And in the end, what's going to crescendo, because I'm warning them, by 2030, listen to this, what I'm saying. By 2030, you will also understand the hatred we always felt. By 2030, you'll feel it. You're going to understand how we've been treated, how just people looking at us, treating us bad, treating us a certain way just because of who we are. People saying things about us. We haven't done anything. You're going to experience all of that no later than 2030. That will be the final frontier, the final. And then you will look up and say, have I became black all of a sudden? I'm feeling, I'm being treated like them. And Trump is setting it up that way for people to treat you like that.
Pay attention to that statement now. Pay attention to that statement. Because what he's saying is real and it's coming. And you're going to understand it better as we move through these. I'm going to get you in a minute, Bush. I'm going to move through a few of these. Now, I'm about to play a Charlie Kirk video that I know y'all ain't seen. Now, I know y'all been hearing Charlie Kirk started to change his ideology and things of that sort, but he was starting to draw a line. And that line has been drawn because there's a rabbi that did a speech as soon as the new pope got in 4 months ago. I'm going to play some of that much later in the program, though, because he was concerned. And this is what he said right here with him being concerned. Let me show y'all this real quick. No one is prepared for what's about to happen in the Christian world. Y'all see that? Think about that. He said that as soon as the Pope got elected over there. He said that. Now, let me play this video.
Elon responds and he says, "You have said the actual truth." Now, we don't know what part Elon is saying is the actual truth. So let's go through this. Again, it's double negatives and misuse of the word disinterested. It's a strange tweet that Elon pinpointed on here. But the first part is absolutely true. Let's go to this. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true, the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that.
Now, you heard what he said. Y'all not no fool. Y'all understand what that means. You got the debt. You got the crisis starting to develop. You got the expulsion that's coming up before the remittance. Okay, we're going to move away from that. But y'all heard what he said right there. He agreed with Elon, saying that the Jewish community is targeting who? The YT man. That's your line right there, folks. That has been a line that we've gotten blurred over the last 1,500 to 2,000 years. Because the YT has been robbing them, extorting them, and all kinds for a very long time. And is about to go. What's going on right now? What the title right here say? The scapegoat cycle. Debt, violence, crisis, scapegoat. Okay, but we about to go deeper in this. Let me see what Bush talking about right quick. What you got? Bush, I'm not sympathetic to the Jewish, Palestinian, or the Anglo. Maybe my comments were clear. The thing about it, brother, and I hope no one is looking at this as if I'm trying to persuade anyone either way or the other. The whole purpose for me doing this video is to show people that there's a fight that's going on and we're the prize. You got Candace Owens now that's trying to line up with Kanye West for what? You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to show you some other things that you haven't seen with the Jewish community. Just stick with me for a minute, y'all. It's going to become clear as I move through this. I'm trying to let our people know, stay out the way. Stay out the way. The come up is coming, but we have to stay out of the way. But let me let you see the play. Bars. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on in this. Now we're about to get into the thick of this. Y'all remember what Charlie Kirk said now? Made a brother rest in peace and all that. Peace to his family. Check this out.
Just FYI. But that brings me back to the why. As I told you when I first reported this story, I believe that this was bigger than people are making it out to be. I did not believe that it was just one lone, gunman out there just says, yeah, I don't like this guy, so this is what I'm going to do. I always tell you to follow the money. And when it comes down to it, the truth hurts. And somebody did follow the money, and that is the gray zone. Max Blumenthal and Anya Parampil just dropped a major article on Friday that gets into some of the details of the money. What was happening behind the scenes with Charlie Kirk and his donors? What was happening behind the scenes with Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump? in regards to Israel. Let's get into this information here from the Gray Zone. Again, if you have not read this article, you need to read it. It is really good. I think they did great work here. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be reaching out to Max and Anya. Charlie Kirk refused Netanyahu funding offer, was frightened by pro-Israel forces before death, friend reveals. So let's get into this. This was the first time I heard that Netanyahu offered funding to Charlie Kirk.
Netanyahu offered funding to Charlie Kirk. I'm going to move through a couple of more of these before we stop and break it down a little bit. Here we go.
A Trump insider and a longtime friend of Charlie Kirk tells the Gray Zone how the assassinated conservative leader's turning point on Israeli influence provoked a private backlash from Netanyahu's allies that left him angry and afraid. Let's get into this. Charlie Kirk rejected an offer earlier this year from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to arrange a massive new infusion of Zionist money into his Turning Point USA organization. Now, Turning Point is America's largest conservative youth association, according to a longtime friend of the slain commenter, speaking on the condition of anonymity. The source told the Gray Zone that the late pro-Trump influencer believed that Netanyahu was trying to cow him into silence as he began to publicly question Israel's overwhelming influence in Washington and demand more space to criticize it.
Okay, you heard that. Let me play this one short one. This one short one right here is important now.
What was happening behind the scenes? This brings to question many things, as I've told you guys before. Everything does not happen on camera. There are many of us that are in this political commentary space, and we have a camera in front of us from time to time, but we also have a life off of that camera.
Everything doesn't happen on camera. She also said, follow the money. This is important. Now, Netanyahu offered money, offered different things. This boy had all kind of money coming at him. Later on in the video, you're going to see when this corporation, Turning Point, got started. When he just came out, he wasn't even fully out of high school. $80 million a year. Now, if I'm talking to you, and Charlie Kirk had a hell of an influence, might not have been saying certain things that we like to hear but he had a hell of an influence with the people he was dealing with. And the biggest concern that this government has right now is the young people. Because all the people getting down out here are young people. Thought you kind of come across, I don't know if you're rattling or whatever. But so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, if I'm talking to you and I'm trying to give you money, we going back and forth, we arguing and disagreeing. And knowing the position that Israel is in right now, or the Jewish community, and how the world is looking at them with what's going on over there, you have to have a Charlie Kirk. You have to. That's one of your lines of defense. And if you're making all these offers and overtures out there and you arguing, does it benefit you to delete this man? Because with his notoriety, as soon as he's deleted, who they gonna say deleted him? And who can benefit from you possibly being blamed for deleting him? Y'all need to think about that now. But we're going to hit a couple more things as we move through this. I'm going to try to get some of y'all comments as I go. You know what I'm saying? And don't y'all get too upset with me if I can't tap on them too quick. What we got? We got Butch. Definitely black people should stay clear of all of this civil war and talk of conflict. You absolutely right, brother. You absolutely right. Deep thought, Bush giving a shout out to you. I see my man Black Terry. Yeah, I see my man Black Terry on here. What's up, Jonesy? What's happening with you? Yeah, we digging deep today, baby. We digging real deep. Now I'm gonna go ahead and slide on a few more of these for y'all, but pay attention to that and why I'm saying I do not think that the Jews did this. I think somebody else did this to capitalize off of it for an agenda. And I played this out in the beginning.
They're going to label him as a martyr for free speech, a victim of left-wing extremism. And they're going to use his death, they're going to use it to demand more surveillance, more censorship, more policing, more militarization of the police against their opponents, more police powers. They're going to use his blood to sanitize his ideology and to legitimize every poisonous thing that he ever said. And some of you are out here cheering about what happened. Well, you're fools.
And since that, you've heard a lot of rhetoric against the Jewish people. I'm just trying to show y'all something. And again, he was moving away from them.
Elon responds and he says, you have said the actual truth. Now, we don't know what part Elon is saying is the actual truth. So let's go through this. Again, it's double negatives and misuse of the word disinterested. It's a strange tweet that Elon pinpointed on here. But the first part is absolutely true. Let's go to this. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them.
Now, when don't they say, my camera messing up, let me correct it. When don't they say there's somebody pushing hate against them? They say black people push hate against them. And we ain't did nothing to no damn body. But I'm just revisiting that for a minute. Let me slide.
We're talking about an organization here that was very successful from what I've seen with being able to recruit young conservatives, particularly on those college campuses. I told you before, that is something that Charlie Kirk was really good about doing, going across the country and getting the youth on board with the conservative message, conservative politics through Turning Point USA. He was the biggest voice in doing that. I think he was more successful at doing that than like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Yeah, they've done that as well. But from the numbers, it looks like he was more successful at doing that. And him starting to ask questions about what Israel was doing or U.S. money going to Israel obviously would cause a problem. You guys need to think about this. The fact that right after Charlie Kirk died, why was Benjamin Netanyahu going on to corporate media, this corporate media press tour, to talk about this letter that Charlie Kirk supposedly wrote him that we didn't even get to read? The letter was not on the screen, not on the teleprompter. He just said, I'm reading it now, and we're just supposed to believe what he said, the words that just came out of his mouth without looking at that letter ourselves. Benjamin Netanyahu is out on this press tour to do damage control. Right?
Everything's pointing at Israel, but let's get through a couple of these.
People on the right, people on the left go back and forth with each other on social media. And I think a lot of people are not doing what I tell you to do, which is to follow the money, to pay very close attention to the big picture.
Follow the money, people. Follow the money. I'm about to hit y'all hard in a minute. This thing about to take a twist. Let me get these 3 comments over here because I still try to keep y'all involved with what's going on. Black Terry, cannibalism going on in politics. They're eating their own. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what happened. What you got, Jonesy? I see you ain't never in this lake. Okay. Butch giving a shout out to Jonesy. Man, me and Thought been trying to get this thing on here all day. I got so much stuff in here. And I'm trying to cover all the edges and corners that I can cover. Because Butch ain't playing with me. Butch on my ass, man. But it's love. Okay. Now, what I'm about to play what a lot of y'all been hearing. And remember I told y'all, there's 2 sides that's lined up. They've been fighting for a long time. But the YT people has been robbing and looting for a long time. And there's other ones like, we got something to say. But there's a collusion coming on over here. But we're in the middle, and each side is trying to pull for the prize. And the prize is us. Now, let me drop this on you.
Black men, I think we need you. I think America needs you, okay? And I know it's unfair, after everything this country's done to you, to ask you to save it. But I think you're the only people who can. All this stuff going on with Izzy and Palestine, well, someone's got to stop them. And anybody that says something, anytime you get a white guy or even a Jewish Jew speaking out about it, they hit them with the racist label, anti-Semitic, stuff like that. Black guys, you can do it. White guys, white people, they're not gonna jump on the "you're racist" train to black guys. And even if they do, I mean, come on, you can rubber glue that shit, okay? And I'm not saying we need black guys to come at it like Kanye, but we just need you to speak the fucking truth, okay? That we're allowing this to happen. We're enabling the people that are most known for an extreme act of organized evil happening to them. You know, in World War II, those people are doing that to another group of people. All right, and if anyone in this country could speak out about a great evil that everyone is just allowing, just sitting by and denying, it's you. Okay, you guys are the experts on this. You can speak on this without any guilt,
to his ending.
Without being silent. You guys have the most powerful voice. Okay. Show this country that it's being evil again. Okay, you've got to be our moral compass, or we're not going to have one. We're going to go completely off the rails on some white devil, fucking World War II, Third Reich type shit if you guys don't start showing out real loud.
You hear him. And I'm a quote on some white devil World War. He knows. He knows. That's why they asking us to come out. That's why they asking us to speak. He knows. They know. That particular end is asking us to come out and speak against the Jewish community because they know they can't really do nothing to us. And here's what you need to know. And let's just be honest. The Jewish community helped us pass the Civil Rights Bill. Now, once they got their benefit up off of it, they went ahead and created the ADL and all that because the white tea people came to them and cut them a deal to get the hell away from us, like they've done with the Irish, like they did with the Italian, the different groups that they were against. So y'all need to pay attention to this now. You know what I'm saying? I see we got a couple more comments up here. I'm trying to move y'all through quick. We'll say, peace, brother. No, it's just this thing right here. It's just healthy discussion. Yeah. No. I mean, but you know, I just be messing around with you. I just be messing around with you, having a little fun. That's all. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slide on some more of these. And I don't expect all y'all to sit in here, man, because this is gonna be kind of long. Y'all probably gonna have to watch it later. I'm sorry I got in here so late, me and thought, but we wanted to get this out today. But this is the temperature in the country right now, family.
Fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White fight back! White fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back!
Now, you seen that. This temperature in this country is at a boiling point, but this is what I need you to pay attention to. This part right here, pay attention to this part going forward, because now we're about to see what's happening with the money, and we're about to see who really in control, and we're about to see what's going on, because everything ain't happening on the camera, people. Check this out.
So I brought Jim Jordan in, and I showed him a clip. I don't know if you've ever seen a white envelope clip. You ever seen a white envelope?
No.
Okay, so there's a white envelope video at George Bush Sr.'s funeral that gets passed down to everybody. Michelle and Barack Obama get it. Michelle opens it. You see Barack goes like this, goes like this. Hillary Clinton gets it. She opens the white envelope, goes like this, goes like this, goes like this. Okay, everybody, Biden's get it. And then comes Jeb Bush, his mom, and George Bush are standing here. And Jeb Bush is standing above his mom. And mother opens the envelope, and she goes like this. And then Jeb looks down, and Jeb goes, And within half a second, he flinches and he looks at her. So I said, Jim, what is in that white envelope? Jim Jordan was like, I've never seen this. I said, Jim, you've never seen this? I've never seen. I said, so Jim, what is on that white envelope? It's not like you read a sentence. A sentence takes 3 seconds. Doom, doom, right?
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He just went boom, boom, half a second. What's in there? And Trump didn't get the envelope. What is in that envelope? And then, who gave that envelope? If Barack Obama received the envelope, that means you're not the boss. It's kind of like this.
Right.
Right? It's
right.
If somebody pays you.
He's not the boss.
No, he's
Who's
not.
the boss?
Who is the boss? So then who is the boss? Is it, when I had Trump on the podcast, I said, who is it? Is there a deep state? He said, it's an amorphous of lunatics, some word like that he used, right? So it's a group of, he talked about Schiff first, and he went through a few different names, right?
Right.
Soros is worth real money. Thinking those guys at BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, they're worth real money. I'll give you a stat that's very, very weird.
Okay.
Pay attention to the money.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the money.
Those guys are worth real money.
Real money. Look at this again. These are the cycles, and they've been repeating for over 1,000 years between the white tea and the Jewish community. And people, the Jewish community has been lending money, and they've been getting ripped off because these people don't want to pay. And I just got a funny feeling that the Jewish community don't want to put no more money with them no more. They want to hedge their bets in a different direction based on what's going on. But don't listen to me. Let's drop this next joint.
Money. I'll give you a stat that's very, very weird that came to my attention. Do you know what country in the world has the most natural resources? But you know what country has the most natural resources of all combined together? It's $75 trillion. This can be validated. Anybody can Google it and go look at it. I want you to think about this before you say it. So what country are they painting as the worst country in the world today?
Oh, man.
You said one of them. You said one of them that's now painted as the best. They're great people. Let's keep giving them money. Right?
Yes.
Who is the enemy of that country?
Palestine?
No, Russia, right?
Oh, Russia?
Russia has $75 trillion of natural resources in their country. Guess who doesn't have access to that money? Nobody. Why not? Who's in the way? A guy named Putin. So who wants to get access to that $75 trillion of resources? Who? Probably BlackRock, probably State Street, probably Vanguard. They want to get in there. So how do you do it?
Y'all follow me? Y'all picking up what me and Thought putting down? Y'all see where this going? Excuse me. What did Trump just go? Not even a month ago. Y'all see what's going on? You have a certain group that's not willing to hedge their bets with the other group no more. They tired of being ripped off. And they want to invest their money in a different direction. Because let's just be honest, we're not on no race stuff. We're talking pure economics and money. This right here is the accounting ledger, and we looking at it. If you have a population drift that's starting to fall off the cliff, and you're not going to be able to rob no more and leverage what you robbed to pay off your debt. And if I'm the lender, I'm going to go where the money at. And now you're seeing Trump go over there to Russia. And you see Europe having a fit about it too. I pointed out a long time ago when they asked for a second state visit over there with the king, over there for Trump. It's supposed to went on in June or July. Trump set it back. When the king sent for you, you don't tell him you can't come. What's going on? Then I pointed out to you when he went over there to Saudi Arabia and Qatar and all that, he was received on a purple carpet. The women flailing their hair like when they were receiving royalty. You just the president of the United States. Why are you being received like that? State Street, BlackRock, all them. These are the companies that own Ford Motor Company, that own General Motors, that own Coca-Cola and all these big, huge companies we think is huge. These are the ones that own them. These are the ones that cannot be punished by a country or a quote unquote state. But let's move on. We got 2 more comments. Give me a minute on comments. I'm trying to move a little bit more through this, not hold y'all too long. Then I'm gonna get the comments you got right here. But like I said, let's move on, people. What you got right here? What you got right here?
First. You got a historic first.
Historic first. Where at?
The Vatican.
The Vatican. You got rappers at the Vatican. You got John Legend singing back up a whole program of black people at the Vatican. What's going on, people? What's happening? I need y'all to pay attention to this, man. Don't y'all sleep on this shit that's going on, and don't y'all go sticking your nose in business that ain't got nothing to do with you, because this is shaking down to your advantage if you stay out the way. And this don't mean you against nobody or for nobody else. It just means stay out the way and let these people handle their business, because this has been going on for 1,500 plus years. Okay, we're going to come off of that and let's go into this. Pay attention to this now.
Most people already know that Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are about to have a private meeting in Alaska on Friday, August 15th, 2025. There's no Europe, there's no Ukraine, just the US and Russia. And that's got Europe, and especially the UK, absolutely freaking out. Why do you think that is? Well, because for more than 100 years, the British Empire and now the EU have feared one thing: that America and Russia might work together instead of fighting. Because when those two get along, they don't need Europe in the middle, do they? Now, according to Promethean Action, this meeting could be about way more than stopping the war in Ukraine. It could be the start of what they call a development deal of the century. Here's what that means. The Arctic is opening up. New shipping routes, energy fields, rare minerals. Whoever builds there first wins big. The US and Russia control most of that region anyway. If they agreed to develop it together, ports, pipelines, trade routes, then they set the rules. And Europe, well, they get left outside. That's lost revenue, lost tax money, lost control. And that's why Europe isn't invited. Why is Europe so nervous? 3 big reasons. 1, power. If the US and Russia set Arctic rules, Europe loses its gatekeeper role in global trade. 2, energy. New pipelines and shipping could bypass Europe's control over gas and oil. And number 3, politics. A thaw between the US and Russia would wreck the EU forever. Sanctions. Strategy and weaken the grip on the West. And the UK, well, this hits their old imperial nerves, doesn't it? Historically, London's strategy was to keep America and Russia apart so that Britain could always be the middleman in global trade and politics. An Alaska deal flips that script, and they know it. So what does it mean for America, though? It means more economic freedom. We can open new trade routes, access new resources, and cut out the middleman. It means more power. We can make deals that put our workers, our businesses, and our security first without the strings of the EU, NATO, bureaucracy, or the old global order. Here's the bottom line. If this meeting works and America can get along with Russia where it makes sense, then we might finally be our own boss again. That's why Alaska matters. And that's why the old guard is so damn scared.
Now, I need you to pay attention to this. They're talking a whole lot about Russia and how much money overall that Russia has, to 73 trillion within it. Why ain't nobody talking about Africa? Or are they? And they just not saying it in front of you. How did we know they talking about Africa? Look at what's going on in France. France is basically collapsed. And the 3 or 4 francophone countries over there in Africa that then cut off all their resources from them is the one that's causing this collapse. They can't survive without the resources out there. Guess who also having problems? England is having problems. Because the world ain't scared of Europe, the European stick anymore. The only other resources they had access to on a limited basis was Russia. Russia then stopped dealing with them because they stopped dealing with Russia. Now the side that Russia's going on is coming up, the BRICS countries. The BRICS plus 6 or whatever it is right now. So if you were a lender, would you continue to lend money to somebody that's the past? Or if you're an investor, are you going to look toward the future? I'm just asking, but let's continue to slide.
The British more than anything else in the world is unfolding behind the scenes. And it has everything to do with U.S.-Russian relations. And it's a major driver of the unprecedented level of desperation we're witnessing from London's imperial apparatus, a desperation which manifested itself most dramatically in the assassination of Charlie Kirk last week. This assassination was not just a function of left-wing propaganda advocating violence. It was that. And as Barbara outlined on Monday, it's part of a full-spectrum information warfare run by intelligence agencies ranging from Britain to NATO. But what it shows is the desperation of the British imperial system that sees its centuries-old domination crumbling before Trump's new strategic alignment with Russia. But what the empire doesn't understand is that this terror campaign will only expose more and more of their apparatus and the underlying ideology and philosophy which drives it.
Okay, let's get these couple of comments right here real quick. Okay, Butch, by way of deception, thou shalt do war, the slogan of the facts. Okay, these are many cyber operations involve many federal agencies, and cutouts regarding. But why? But why? And then why now? Why so much activity right now? Because you got two old guards that's fighting against each other. You have an old guard that was, oh, damn, guess that's a bad finger. You have an old guard. Yeah, that was a bad finger. You have an old guard that's been running everything, and basically through this accounting ledger or new world of commerce where everything is funneled towards them. And now all of a sudden, it looked like that's not about to be happening because they were a parasite on the world. And it don't look like they're going to be able to do that no more. And if you look at it historically, which I have done the study, I have done the work, again, I'll show you guys again. It's all right here. The whole play is in this book. I have done it. I've researched it going all the way back. The Western world exists off of the purse of the Jewish community. What did Rockefeller say? I don't need a standing army. What did he say, Thought?
Oh yeah, he was. You talking about when he was speaking about control?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying that he don't care who writes the laws of a country if he control the money.
He even said, I don't even care about the army. I don't care about the army. Now that give me control of the purse strings. And they've been doing that for a long time. But again, don't just listen to me. I'm going to take you through some more. Here we go.
But let's look at the real state of Britain, which Trump knows all too well. Britain remains a major force in keeping the Ukraine war going. So just this week, Boris Johnson called for NATO troops on the ground in Ukraine. And let's not forget, the British economy is collapsing along with much of the rest of Europe under the weight of their own insane ideologies. So while he's having dinner with the king, don't forget that Donald Trump knows all of this. And you're going to see plenty of pictures of carriages and castles. But here's what the media is desperately trying to block out: Trump's quiet, deepening dialogue with Russia.
Okay, let's go right into this.
Sources have told me that Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested that sanctions relief could result in Russia moving more of their energy commodities in the U.S. dollar, functionally giving Russia and the United States a lot of control over U.S. energy markets. That could lower energy costs for Americans. Do you see economic cooperation with Russia as one of the things that could bring an end to some of the hostilities that we want to see concluded?
Yeah, Matt, absolutely. And it's one of the carrots that we've thrown out there. And the president's been very open with both the Europeans and the Russians that he doesn't see any reason why we should economically isolate Russia except for the continuation of the conflict. He wants the killing to stop. And then on the other side of peace, he's very open to a whole host of economic arrangements that are beneficial to the United States of America. I mean, let's be honest, whether you like or dislike Russia, whether you agree or disagree with their underlying arguments for the conflict, the simple fact is they've got a lot of oil, they've got a lot of gas, they've got a lot of mineral wealth. And I think the president is absolutely right that once we get this peace settled, we could have a very productive economic relationship with both Russia and Ukraine in the future.
Now, the establishment went absolutely hysterical about this. The Daily Kos shrieked about Putin pawns. The Hill came up with this article, quoting a Republican senator who wanted to be unnamed. I can imagine why.
Yeah, I hope this is starting to unfold for y'all right now. What you got here? That control of the money quote was, yeah, Rothschilds. Rothschilds. And we know what the Rothschilds are. We know. So this is what I'm trying to point out to y'all, folks. There is a war going on. And this war that's going on is for the future. And a particular group can't continue this actual world of commerce no more in the current way that it's written. But I got a little something later on that's going to show you that the Council of Nicaea 2025 have started. And this ain't happened in 1700 years. And this is the first thing that started in 325 AD that started the whole Ponzi scheme. Why are they having another one after 1700 years, people? The rules is about to be rewritten. When the doctrine of discoveries was done, and hold on, let's go ahead and go here. Just y'all don't, right here. When the doctrines of discovery was done, they was done between the 1300 and the 1400. Well, actually, we say almost the 1500. It was the first one was 1452. The other one was 1492-93. But the actual first document that was done in 13, I think it was 07 or 05. But that was done right between the second thing right here, the expulsion between the 1200 and 1400. And then the 1452 document, it had issues in there with the Jews at that time, trying to expel them. Okay, now, this right here, if you want to understand how this stuff really go with the what the Jewish community has done as far as lending to Europe, I mean, they were the ones, this gentleman right here, a Jewish German named Jacob Fager, he's the one that started financing for the Pope to be protected by the Swiss Guard. Y'all should read this book, because in this book, it has all the details of how Maximilian, that we think of the cartoon, he the richest man, the Maximilian, was borrowing money from him. How the Pope was borrowing money from him. And you get to see it all. The land deals, the silver mines they got access to from lending money for them to hire armies, and the whole nine. It's right there in that book, just so you can just confirm to see how this thing actually goes. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to get a little bit deeper in Charlie Kirk and open this thing up a little more. Here we go.
Whenever has the original story been the real story? JFK? No.
Hold on, let me stop it. Whenever has the original or the first story of anybody ever assassinated been the real story? Here we go. We're going to run it back again.
Whenever has the original story been the real story? JFK? No. RFK? No. MLK? No. Malcolm X? No. 9/11? No. Vietnam War? No. The first story is almost, I mean, I've never seen a case where it was the real story. So let's just go with that. All right. Who gets assassinated? And this it's a political thing. So we call it an assassination. It's just murder with a political tinge, right? Someone with a big following. If you have no following, they're probably going to leave you alone. 2, if you're going through a change or some kind of evolution. And 3, if that change is a huge challenge to a very powerful force. So let's go through our assassinations. And again, let's be clinical about this. I'm not comparing Charlie Kirk to any of these people. I'm just talking about the dynamic. So we have, let's talk about Martin Luther King. He was harassed constantly, but they let him be. Until what? Until he came out against the Vietnam War. And then it was time for him to go. How about Malcolm X? Nation of Islam, he was doing all kinds of stuff, saying all kinds of stuff. Everything was fine until he came back from Mecca and said, it may not be the white people that are the devil. It may be the system that's the devil. He had to go. Big following. That's the thing to keep in mind. If you have a big following and you become a danger to these folks, you are on your way out.
Big following. That thing lines up right there, but let's move to a couple more of these.
It was founded when? 2012. Who founded it? Well, Charlie Kirk founded it, but there was another founder named Bill Montgomery. Okay. How old was Charlie Kirk when this got started? He was 18. Yeah. When did he start it? The day after he graduated from high school. All right, everybody sit back, think a little bit. Is it plausible that Charlie Kirk, is a spontaneous, natural creation? Okay, now he was obviously a talented speaker, a talented rhetorician, debater. He had star quality, no question, and he was showing it at 18. But how many 18-year-olds do you know who are to get something going? How many people know that he was Donald Trump Jr.'s right-hand man during the 2016 campaign? He was the assistant to Donald Trump Jr. for a whole year. Okay, how many people know the annual budget of Turning Point USA? Because he's just the tip. He was just the tip of a very large iceberg. How about $80 million a year? How many employees do they have? 5, 10, 20? How about over 600? This was a big, big, big enterprise. And all these things you can confirm on the internet. You don't have to take.
Now, what's important to know about this? It appears that since high school and all that, all the money that the gentleman just described, that right there, was funded apparently by the Jewish community because they needed help with the young people. And then all of a sudden, it appears his ideology changed just around the same time that Candace Owens left from, what's his name, Ben Shapiro? Thought. Yeah. Candace Owens left from there. I think Charlie Kirk may have been involved with that too. You start having this split that started to come and show up. And then you had Charlie come say,
Elon responds and he says, you have said the actual truth. Now, we don't know what part Elon is saying is the actual truth. So let's go through this. Again, it's double negatives and misuse of the word disinterested. It's a strange tweet that Elon pinpointed on here. But the first part is absolutely true. Let's go to this. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like.
Now, you heard that. Now, this whole time, the Jewish community has been giving him money, putting all this money, going around the colleges and all this. Everything's been going fine. And then his ideology starts to change right there. If I've been working with you for 6, 7, 8, or no, he's in his 30s. You've been working for over a decade. I think that I can pull you back. I'm going to offer you money. We're going to negotiate. We're going to argue. We're going to do, but we've been working together for a long time. Your whole lifestyle is based on what I've been contributing toward you. So yeah, we're going to fall out. We're going to argue, but I believe I can get you back because you've been with me that long. And then all of a sudden, I just decided to go ahead and, when there's plenty of track records and evidence that I've been funding everything you've been doing, or would it benefit that other side that may fear that they may lose your voice? If this other joker come up with the right amount of money, you got a big crowd. We can't afford to lose you as we turn to you. So if something were to happen to you, who is going to look like did it? And who would it benefit? That would radicalize and benefit the other party in a massive way. And that's what I'm asking y'all to think about. Not telling you what to think. I'm just asking y'all to think about that. Let's slide.
As you criticize Israel, like, this is authoritarian. For you to tell people, well, they can't leave the country because they're criticizing Israel. Like, is this the United States of America or is this Israel? It's absolutely insane. It goes on to say here.
I'll cut that a little short there. Let's jump on this next one.
If this passes, ADOS will be declared a terrorist organization soon afterwards. This is another thing I want to give people the heads up about, right? The ADOS organization has been smeared multiple times by corporate media pundits. They have been called Russian puppets, Russian accounts. That's not true. But ADOS is American Descendants of Slavery. It's an organization that advocates for, again, the just due, the reparations that is owed to descendants of slavery. But because they have already been targeted, they have already been labeled and marked as, oh, these are Russian people, these are Putin puppets or whatever. They've been labeled as MAGA, which is not true. They're not MAGA. But they are asking for specific things for American descendants of slavery from politicians. They're asking for those things. Do not be surprised if they start to go after these groups as well. Meanwhile, you have the KKK organization in the US, which still exists. You have neo-Nazi organizations in the US, which still exist. But that's not who they're going to go after, because those two organizations that I just mentioned, KKK, neo-Nazis, they still serve white supremacy. They're not going to go after them. But these other groups, and especially the ones in particular that are asking for something for their specific group, could be a primary target.
I heard that. Even though I got my opinion about that, but I'm going to leave that out there for free thought, of course. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to get into this whole Jewish community thing. And we're going to go through some of that because it's something I need y'all to think about.
The Jews were disproportionately responsible for American slavery, saying that the Jews owned the slave ships, the Jews financed the trade, the Jews owned most of the slaves, and so on. Imagine saying that. You must think we're really stupid. Like Alabama and Mississippi are renowned for their thriving Jewish populations, you know? Because, yeah, of course, Jews in America are, you know, have always been associated with agriculture. Sure. I mean, it's goofy. It's goofy on the face of it. The census of 1860, this isn't esoteric. Anyone can read the columns. You strip out the so-called free North and look at the families, look at the households, and you'll find that roughly one white Southerner in 5 kept human beings as property, with planter belts like Mississippi and South Carolina pushing closer to 1 out of every 2. So no, we're not talking about 2%. We're talking about 20%, and in some places 50%. So don't try to act like slave ownership was some fringe practice in the South. It wasn't. And the only reason that the percentages of ownership aren't higher among the general population is because of affordability, not because of morality. The highest percentage of slave ownership by Jews in the American South was only around 1.3%. And that was just before the Civil War, and that was the highest that they ever got. And I'm sorry to tell you, but if you follow the money upstream in the slave industry in those days, you go upstream on that money chain, you're going to find churches and cathedrals, not synagogues. From the Portuguese to the English, with the what they call the Royal African Company, Liverpool, and so on. This is Christian Europe. Christian Europe's monarchs, Christian Europe's merchants, their insurers, and so on. They stamp their mark on every invoice.
You heard that? We ain't gonna stop. Let's go.
Liverpool alone dispatched somewhere around 5,000 slaving voyages between 1700 and 1807. That's a statistic that you can find in the Transatlantic Slave Trade Database online. You can look it up. Lloyd's of London was the insurer. They insured the traffic so thoroughly that slave voyages accounted for maybe around 5 to 10% of all marine premia in the late 18th century. And no, Lloyd's of London was not Jewish. They were Anglicans and they were Protestants. So just be honest. I mean, of course, Jews did participate. Of course they did. That was a lucrative evil that you normalized. But make no mistake about it, that was a white European Christian enterprise. Jews had a walk-on role. A historical ledger-by-ledger review of every surviving British and American slave voyage puts the Jews' share of the Atlantic traffic well under 2%. Slave trade was not some covert Semitic conspiracy foisted on the innocent white Europeans. No, it was an enterprise conceived, financed, and defended by Christian imperial power. Jews just sampled a corner of the poisoned banquet that the Europeans had laid themselves. They spread that banquet out. You were the buyers, you were the transporters, you were the owners, you were the slave drivers, and everybody knows it. You want to put every wicked thing that you've done at the feet of the Jews. You know, were the Jews the masterminds behind the Spanish Inquisition? Were they the masterminds behind the Crusades, the Salem witch hunts? You know, the Jews, I suppose, made you genocide the Native Americans. The Jews made you lynch African Americans. The Jews made you drop the atomic bombs on Japan, right? Come on.
Now you seeing what I'm saying about the scapegoat thing. If it ain't becoming clear that these people have been made a scapegoat, and again, ain't nobody say they ain't loaned the money, because this is an accounting ledger. This world is a world of commerce. So nobody saying they didn't loan the money. With, of course, interest in return. Maybe access, for which you could see in a book about Farger that I showed y'all right here. When they conquered certain areas with gold mines or silver mines, the king or whoever would lease it to them for 5 or 7 or 10 years based on some of the money that was owed. Yeah. And then turn around and get that money right back up out of them to go ahead and continue to wage war. Yeah. But the ones actually performing these deeds was the other group between the two groups that are squared off right now. And I'm going to give you my conclusion at the end, and we're starting to wind this thing down. But let's run through a few more. I think we're right here.
To just be wicked and own it yourself. And, you know, these are the same people who will say, well, you know, the Jews were kicked out of so many countries. There must be a reason. There has to be a reason for that. Never grasping that the hatred and supremacism that leaks out of your pores gives us the answer. You know, the venom and the viciousness of your loathing is on full display all the time. They hate Jews, they hate Muslims, they hate Africans, they hate Mexicans, they hate immigrants. It's endless. Who don't you hate? And always their malice is cast as if it's their victim's fault. Do you know how much you sound like a serial abuser talking about all his crazy exes? You're sick in the head. And I mean,
let's move to a few more.
They are having the Israelis do for them in the region. You know, we're on the verge of the great divorce. And I've been telling you that we would see. I've been telling you for.
We're on the verge of the great divorce. And I told you about these two sides now. The great divorce. And I'm going to start. Hold on, let me get what Butch's saying right here. The art of making money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm glad y'all starting to see this whole thing is about money. Race was created. You know what? I'm going to do you one better. Because sometimes I talk too much.
At that time, see, the dominant society had acquired almost 99%, or not 100% control of everything. And so the dominant society is on a mountain and black folk are in the ditch. So what they did then, they took the word race, R-A-C-E. They took the word race, they cut the E off the end of it, and they stuck on a suffix. The suffix is ISM. ISM is a suffix that means maintain the prevailing conditions. Let nothing change. And they stuck ISM on, that's what racism is. Racism means that now that whites own and control everything and blacks own nothing, keep it that way. And that prevailed all the way up through the civil rights movement in 1960, which means that anybody who accepts the racist philosophies, it's not about who's superior, it's about who owns and controls. Therefore, the philosophy is be conservative. Let nothing move from white hands to black hands. That is racism. Let nothing move from white hands to black hands. So consequently, the dominant society developed these philosophies that say, I'm opposed to reparation, I'm opposed to affirmative action, I'm opposed to set-asides and preferential treatment for black folk, because that would put them in a position to get resources and ownership and control. That's what racism. So racism is anything that will keep black folk from changing those conditions, from getting out of that ditch. That's the issue. That issue has remained constant.
That's the issue right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the issue right there. And he goes on to speak about the meaning of conservatism. Being conservative, I think if he didn't state it in there, is to keep anything from getting in your hands. The Jew was with us in the 60s. They cut them a deal to get away from us and to buy into the conservative ideology to not help us get out. But I think they're trying to return again, people. I think they're trying to return again. But I got a little something else for y'all. But let's go ahead and slide on a little more of this.
They are having the Israelis do for them in the region. You know, we're on the verge of the great divorce. And I've been telling you that we would see, I've been telling you for a long time now, that we're going to see the floodgates open in terms of that latent, seething, and ever-present Western anti-Jewish hatred. That's why you sent the Jews over there to do it in the first place. That's why. That's why you made your colonial stormtroopers a Jewish brigade, precisely so that you could disavow them when the time came. I saw this coming years ago, and here we are. It's the Jews. I mean, it's our money, it's our weapons, it's our policy, it's our political coverage, it's our bombs, it's our missiles, it's our attack helicopters, it's our support, but it's the Jews. Because it's the henchman who always takes the fault. That's why they set the system up like that, plausible deniability. And that's why they're going hard in the paint with the blame shifting now. That's why you've got your Candace Owens types, your Tucker Carlson types, and so on, sort of opening the tap on despising Jews in acceptable public discourse. It's transparent. And no, I've said it many times, the Israelis are absolutely responsible for their actions. No question about it. Just like the death squads that Washington unleashed on Central and South America. Just like every hired killer, just like every mercenary is.
My brother, I put you up on the screen. I don't know if you're trolling, and if you're trolling, that's fine. It's no problem. But I put you up on the screen to highlight and not to denigrate you, not to talk crazy to you, but clearly you have not seen the rest of the video. And I implore you to maybe watch this video, watch a couple of the ones before. This is an economic discussion. And clearly by you stating this is an indication that you have not seen it and you don't understand the ideology. So I would like to invite you to maybe educate yourself with this book here that I authored to give you the history of some of what's going on. The purpose for this conversation is not for me to claim to be an Israeli. It's for me to give my people the history that has not been presented to my people so you can make an informed decision to not get your black in them streets when these two people about to pop off. That's the purpose for this video, my brother. So I would hope that you would listen to the video, see a few more of the videos, and kind of educate yourself, no disrespect to you, and what's happening. This here is not a discussion about race. This is not a discussion about morals. This is not a discussion about right or wrong. This is not a discussion about religion. Because the world that you're describing is the world that God made. The world that we're talking about is the world that the Catholic Church invented, financed by the Jewish community. That's what we're talking about. So, you know, brother, I mean, come on now. Here you go. I'm not you. I'm not you are an African descent claiming you're AI made. Okay, I don't want to. You understand what you're talking about? Thought.
Oh, what are you trying to say is you're not an Israeli, like, so don't get into that, right? And he's saying your videos are AI made and they're not real. My whole point to this is everything we're talking about, you can go research yourself. Like, you could, if you like, you could hop on ChatGPT and run any of these through.
It's all facts. It's all facts. Put in any of those names that I've stated. The pictures are AI generated, because guess what? I'm not the most computer savvy mog in the world. I'll admit that, and I definitely can't draw. I can't even draw stickmen correctly. You know what I'm saying? But it's like Jeezy say, it's all there, brother. It's all there. Check the names, check the information I'm giving you. It's all there. And it's put there for you to protect yourself and be the benefactor of what's shaking down, and not go crash out on somebody trying to put a battery in your bed back. And I guess you was correct, thought on what you described. So, brother, that's all I can do, man. I can hope that you'll go check it out, man. You know, my man Butch up in here. Butch get after me all the time if he's not seeing something and ask me to explain my position. But we're having a conversation. We're having a conversation. Ain't nobody claiming to be anything that they not. That's just like me trying to show up and say I'm skinny. I'm not skinny. I can't even pretend to be skinny. I mean, come on, family. We trying to have a conversation to, you know what I'm saying?
We're trying to have a conversation about economics.
Economic conversation, bro. That's what this is. That's what this is. And making sure our people get the history correct and knowing the position that the Jewish community played, because the Jewish community is going to try to come cut another deal. Them other folks going to try to cut a deal too, but they losing. They not going to pull this one off.
And plus, look at every deal they've ever cut.
They always reneged on. They've reneged on the Jew, I don't know how many times, to rob him. And they robbed us too. Who haven't they robbed? Who do they like? And this ain't about the actual people, the YT people, because they don't know they being used by their sovereigns, they kings and all that slap a battery in their back. Like I showed right here. When they get to getting shook down and all that, here's the history right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are years of where these things have happened, to where these people were being extorted. They turned the population on them, burn them up and all type of stuff, throw them out until they reduce their debt. What is the Western world going through right now? A debt issue. And then I gave the book, one of the books right here. If you look at this book, it's on audio too. It'll explain to you the nature of the relationship between the Jewish community and the European. It explains it to you. I'm giving all the evidence here, my brother. You know what I'm saying? The thing you said, capitalism right there. The man that I just showed you the book, Jacob Fogger, they credit him with starting capitalism. Check that book out. If you're familiar with Dr. Henry Clark said one of his mentors told him, if you want to understand history, go study the history of your masters. I have studied the history of our masters. So I know the rationale and the thinking behind what they do because I have studied. And hopefully, brother, you'll go take a look at some of that stuff for yourself. I've done a lot of it for you. You know, I've done a lot of it for you, but I'm not going to slow everybody else down. We're going to continue to move forward. And brother, hey, subscribe, follow. You can hit me up. We can talk it. I shoot you some stuff you can look at. We don't tell people what to think. We just give the information. Decide what you decide. Decide what you decide. But we're family over here. What was that? Thought I don't remember where I was at. Was this?
They are having the Israelis do for them in the region. You know, we're on the verge of the great divorce. The slave ships in the transatlantic slave trade were captained by men with names like Roberts and Smith, not Bernstein and Rothberg. I mean, how many African Americans you know today who today still until now carry the family names of their enslaved ancestors' owners? How many of them are named Cohen and Leibowitz rather than Jones or Washington? No.
Another point for you to think about, but let's slide on up. I got like about 7 more, and we're going to wrap this thing up. That's why I'm kind of moving through these a little bit quicker. Here we go.
If you think that Tommy Robinson is misrepresenting British culture, again, you're in denial. You're either in denial or you're not familiar with British history. No, he represents both the past and the future of the United Kingdom.
If you think putting me in jail and getting me killed is going to solve your problems, you're going to spark the revolution like you cannot imagine. And I'm willing to be in that position. So I keep putting myself in the way saying, go on then. I wholeheartedly believe our country is at stake. The future safety of our children is at stake. We're supposed to shut up and remain silent whilst our rights and freedoms are taken. How after the last 7 days you can't see our rights and freedoms are being taken? Well, we're not going to remain silent while they take them. And I'm going to scream it from the hilltop. So what faults do I have? That's my fault.
And by the past, I mean the pre-colonial past, because you're not going to be able to do like you did in that past anymore. You're not going to be able to do colonization like you did back in those days. Your opportunities and your capacity for colonization are over. So the UK is going to return to what it always was throughout history prior to colonization. It's going to be poor, sickly, violent, and miserable, engaged in constant tension and conflict with the rest of Europe, with their neighbors and with the rest of Europe. That's your past and that's your future. You only got rich through stealing and through pillage of the global South. And technically, if you understand economically what that means, that makes you actually a dependency, technically.
What's coming? They know what's coming. And the only reason they got a break, because they put the Indians, however you want to define that, we understand what Indian really is. You know what I'm saying? And then they eventually put us in the place. And that was in your 1493 document, where the Pope arbitrated a disagreement between Portugal and Spain and reduced us to hereditary servitude, therefore fully redefining the word slave. Instead of basing it on prisoner of war or you losing the war, it was based on the birth of your mother. You inherited. But there's some new deals about to be cut. And I don't think they're going to be in them, since their financier is pulling out and going for higher ground. So if we're going and remove, go back and look at the history, and you'll see what they did to their people. Let's continue.
Seriously, what's so precious? Again, you're...
Now, let me stop it. Over these next couple, he's going to describe what they were going through. And past, and as he say, future. Here we go.
Seriously, what's so precious? Again, your right to be a serf? That's it? That's what you fought for? You drew a line in the sand and said, no further. You shall not take my right to be owned by a local lord. No, you shall not tear up my deed of bondage. You're backwards. I mean, the Ottomans come and they offer you a system where any man, Muslim, Christian, Jew, can own land. You didn't have that. You can take your case to a judge, a real judge, a law book, not some drunken baron whose whim gets enforced as the law. No, you could go to court and get justice. No matter who you were, no matter what your level was in society, no matter what your religion was. They offered you a system where the law is actually written down.
A baron. There that word go again. Baron.
Mm-hmm.
And then he talked about being owned by these feudal lords that were barons. Because what did I tell you? When they borrowed money from the Jews, they had to pay that money back with interest. And how they paid that money back is when the king got them to fight, they gave them a swath of land that was holdings. And within the holdings, anyone that was on that land became that baron's property. He could extort you, he could tax you, he could do whatever, long as he kicked a percentage up to the king. And the king in turn repaid his debt to the people he borrowed from. Now, example, William Wallace, if you ever watched that, when they got ready to fight, you see the men marching up with their little flags or whatever. All those were barons, different barons under flags that the actual king or the noble gave them, a coat of arms that they could march and go around robbing city-states. But the king would have to pay those barons to march with him and to go fight and take more property. Because the majority of kings back then, when you study the history, did not have money. So let's move on.
You wouldn't have been allowed to burn Jews in the town square, which is what you did. You wouldn't have been allowed to launch the Inquisition against the Protestants, which is what you did. You wouldn't have had your 30 years wars where Christians massacred other Christians by the millions over doctrinal disputes. No, these are doctrinal disputes that a sultan would have settled in his court in an afternoon. You fought for the right to be bigots to your own neighbors. Yes, you did, because that's how you are.
Now, I'm not a big fan of this gentleman right here, but we're going to play his video anyway because he makes a good point.
Guys, I've decided I'm going to do something. I'm going to share something personal that I wasn't sure I was going to share, but I think it's important. Charlie Kirk and I were not friends at all. In fact, the last week of his life, we were beefing hard, beefing online, beefing on air. But the day before he died, he did something that shocked me. He sent me a personal message calling for personal dialogue, wanted me to come on his show. He said we could be gentlemen together. He said we could deal with our disagreements agreeably. And in the past week and a half, just watching people talk about civil wars and censorship and all this stuff coming out of his death, I just thought it was important to let people know, don't put that on Charlie Kirk, because the last day of his life, he was reaching out to have not more censorship, more conversation, more dialogue with somebody who honestly was one of his adversaries, me. And I just want to share that with the world. And I hope that maybe it might help somebody on both sides deal with issues more like he did.
I think he was beginning to see that they were going to need additions to their quest of whatever that may have been. But we'll leave that there. I only got like 4 more for y'all. Check this one out.
They have been in economic turmoil due to the tariffs that Trump decides to put on, especially on China in particular. Now, a lot of these farmers are crying they're going broke. They say they got crop, they can't sell. Some of it is going to go bad.
Well, we've got a real disaster with this tariff deal. I mean, we produce 40% more agricultural products in this country than we can consume domestically. 1 in every 4 rows of soybeans in every field in the entire United States of America has to go abroad. China is the largest importer of soybeans in the world. They import 61% of the world's market. Last year, we sent around 12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
0?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Brazil. You see, we lost 42% of our market share in the first tariff war. In Trump's first tariff war, the Chinese went to buying their soybeans from Brazil. They invested billions of dollars in Brazilian infrastructure. They have moved into Africa, and they're going to commercially farm in Africa since we left with USAID. they moved their Belt and Road program into Africa. So we've pretty much lost the Chinese market share. If we got 100% of the soybean business, Katie, for every country in the world except for Brazil and Argentina, we would still only have half the soybean business that China is.
Oh, as you heard him, $12 billion to zero. China cut them completely off when they instituted those tariffs. And you know, even if Trump get out of office, or even Trump drops the tariffs tomorrow, China like, nah, we good, because we've been getting our soybeans and not having no problems. We gonna just stick with Brazil.
Now, y'all heard that. That appears as if that was something done on purpose and you gutting the community. But I could be wrong. The next few I'm going to play is by the rabbi that basically stated this, or what I showed in the earlier part of the show. Basically saying that the Christian world wasn't ready. They're not prepared for what's coming. This was the name of his video. This right here is his channel or whatever, if anyone interested in that. But I want you to pay attention specifically to this one right here and what he said about Pope Francis, because we're going to end this with some very interesting information I'm going to drop on y'all.
How do the Jewish people respond to the Pope, who's the head of the Catholic Church, is passing? One may think, when you look at the history, the relationship between the Catholic popes and the Jewish people has not been the best of history. We look at the popes way back when were very cruel to the Jewish people. They were not friendly at all. They were very anti-Semitic, and thus became a terrible rift between the Catholic world and the Jewish world. However, Pope was very, very different. He was very close with the rabbi. He even co-authored a book with the rabbi in Argentina. He was very close to the Jewish community. He visited Israel. He actually declared very publicly and openly that anti-Semitism is a sin. Truly amazing.
Now, you heard him state what I've been telling you, and I've given the historical facts, that the popes were not very friendly to the Jewish people. That goes consistent with me saying they robbed them and did different things like that. And this, again, all this information is right here in my book that you can get on audio book or whatever. It's right there. You heard him say it out of his own mouth. I'm just telling you what they did. He's not saying, he just said they were cruel and all that. I also showed you what? I showed you a consistent history and pattern, and showed you the years within when it happened. The same cycles. The same cycles. The scapegoating cycles. I've showed it to you. You can take that thing right there, look at the dates, Chat GPT it or whatever, and have it come up and you will see it. I've given you the facts. But what you didn't know, and what he was saying, is that Pope Francis started to move real close in with the Jewish community. Real close in with them. Started to favor them and all of that. And what I challenge you to do is go back and look at the Council of Nicaea 325 AD and see what Constantine did. Because Constantine brought in all the Christian religions at that time that existed before the Nicene Christian, and came to an agreement. And in these meetings, he told them, I will make you, if you are willing to teach this form of Christianity, I will make you very rich. All the offerings and tithes that you receive, I will make tax-free. That happened in 311 AD. Could that be happening again at this new Council of Nicaea? That's happening right now?
The formal remarks. Would just like to apologize for being a little late and also to ask for your patience with me. I'm not yet 1 month into the new job, so we have a lot of learning experiences. But I'm very happy to be with you this morning.
That council has not happened for 1,700 years. And you see with the new Pope that's going on right now. Now, this gentleman spoke about what happened to Pope Francis. Now, this, as soon as the new Pope that you just seen right now was elected, this Pope gave his speech
New
right
Pope has been appointed and anointed. What made history is that this is the first time a Pope is a born American, now known as Pope Leo XIV. We do realize that he is a human being. He was born to a mother and father just like you and I. Today, I congratulate him. Today, I congratulate all of our fellow Catholics that you have been blessed with a new Pope. When Pope Francis became ill, I spoke about him, I prayed for him, and when he passed away, I mourned him and I offered the condolences. Primarily as a rabbi of 40 years, I am so grateful to be living in a generation now in the 21st century where the Judeo-Christian alliance is as strong as it's ever been. Many of the predecessors and the popes going back hundreds if not thousands of years, there have been many of difficult times for the Jewish people. Anti-Semitism was on the rise. But the recent popes, as such as Pope Francis, denounced anti-Semitism as a sin. He was very supportive of Israel. He was a friend of the Jewish people. We are certain that the newly appointed Pope will follow in his footsteps.
Now, without going deep into that, y'all should be able to read between the lines of what he was saying there. So, in the conclusion, this is what we're looking at, and this is what I see. Right here, let me show you this. Right here in Detroit, you have New York, you have Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Memphis, Washington, D.C., and Detroit. And some of these cities you're starting to get, and you can see, I guess it ain't at the top of this. It should have been where you could see where you're starting to see an influx of young Jewish people moving into these black cities. Yes, they're relocating into these black cities. And if you notice, some of these cities are the cities that Trump is starting to put troops inside of. So you have to ask yourself, is it really to protect or stop the violence within these cities? Or I might have gave it away when I said protect. Think about that. Okay, now we're going to move from this and we're going to move over here. Oh, I missed that. Well, we ain't got to do that. I skipped a few videos. Well, I guess we got to talk about that. But right here, in these cities, in these states, or these cities, you're seeing the actual regions within the cities that you're starting to get, what it said here, overlapping neighborhoods, Jewish re-entry into black rootedness in between 2024 to 2025, where they're moving into our communities again. Because anyone from Detroit would know that there was a heavy Jewish community in Detroit. I remember being a little boy waking up to see the Super Friends on Saturday. We walk down the street right there on St. Alvin and used to sit on the stairs of this candy factory. A Jewish man will come out every Saturday and give us all candy. And then we went back to watch the Super Friends. Joe Murr's right there on I think it's right off St. Alvin and Gratiot. If it's still, I think it's still there. My cousin went there not too long ago. Everybody knew that was a Jewish-owned restaurant. And that Jewish-owned restaurant used to help us down in Black Bottom. They actually hired my cousin, not my cousin, but my uncle, and he worked there. My uncle would always get locked up. That Jewish man would always go get him out of jail. Always. The Jewish community helped us in the 60s with the Civil Rights Bill and the acts. I went through that already. What I foresee, what I just showed you, and plus you can Google or you can ask ChatGPT, and it'll bring up all the programs, current programs, where you have the Jewish community trying to spend money to build back relationships with. I played a video earlier showing what a white T man was begging, now I wouldn't say begging, that's a nasty word, asking us to come out and support to stop them from the possible what could go on. So y'all need to look at this, man. Y'all need to look at this, really check your history, man, and what's really going on. We went through all this. This was a long video. Sorry about the length. But me and Deep Thought went through a lot to get these videos cut out so y'all can see for yourself, and hopefully this will start a conversation. People need to ask themselves, is Trump still MAGA? Because Deep Thought pointed something out to me earlier. What did you say about his kids' thought? I guess Thought might have tapped out on me. Thought told me, you do know his oldest daughter is married to a Jewish man, and all of his grandkids are Jewish. So is Trump still MAGA? What's really going on? And the move Trump is making to cut this deal with Russia is because you got these big corporations that are behind him that are owned by whoever that's not willing to play the game with Europe no more. It don't appear to be. And it looked like they're aiming toward the future. I've said y'all many times in closing, you need to pay attention to, you can Google this, Digital AU 2063. And you heard the brother Phil from the African Diaspora Channel talk about 2030, because there's also a Digital AU 2030. Where they're talking about the continent of Africa creating a digital AU to encapsulate the continent of Africa with a pan-African view. And the 6th region is going to be over here inside the United States, digital. And they're going to give digital citizenships. Black people are going to be able to become a digital citizen of the AU and vote over there in the whole 9 through digital citizenship. And you're also going to be able to receive digital passports. What are they creating? What they're creating is what you have in the United States. What you have in the United States, you have a bunch of states that could be countries. And then you have a federal government that's over that supersedes the jurisdiction of the power of the states. But also in the EU, you had the same thing. You had the European Union, but you had all the countries that pretty much were like states. And the EU could supersede the jurisdiction of the state. Now they're doing something similar. Remember, I told you the first world was the world of God. Then the Catholic Church came on, they made a second world. And inside that world was a world of commerce. People, they're about to make a third world. It's going to go on top of that. And that world is going to be a digital world. And within that digital world, there's going to be digital jurisdiction. So Africa is going to become the United States of Africa, but digitally. The most of your resources in, you heard the thing, Russia, we already know about China. I mean, not China, but Africa. That's why black people over here need to stop fighting with the black people over there. That's why I keep telling you all the time, we got next. Let me get these 2 comments, and I'm gonna go and get out y'all way, because I'm getting on people's nerves. Okay, there you go. Not at all. Not at all. May have married into a cult, my brother, but at the end of the day, like I'm saying, this is a financial discussion. Everybody can keep whatever feelings they have about whatever they have, but we must remember this is a financial discussion. The whole thing of cult or whatever, hidden or whatever, is a kind of maybe a religious ideology or spiritual that exists in God's world, the real world, not this fake world that has been created by a fictitious entities. Okay, because all these entities, the idea of state, the idea of city state is all illusions. They're not real, and it's created by law. These laws were created by the institution that the Jewish people financed. That it looks like they're no willing to finance anymore, but it looks like the Catholic Church is getting ready to align with them and alienate the population that they use to help enforce this Ponzi scheme. That's my opinion. Everything that I stated are facts. And I gave you my interpretation. You may have your own. That's fine too, because we just talk. So as always, I guess you are gone. Thought you gone or you fell asleep? What happened? Yeah, guess thought and went to sleep on us people. But yo, sorry I kept y'all so long, man. This is a long show, but I thought it was needed because we need to pay attention to stay out the way and where to hedge our bets at. It's going to be revealed more and more as we go, because I think next year is going to be a crazy year. So, hey, we can talk. Let me know what you think in the comment section and all that. Give me some likes and follows. And as always, my people, deuces.